I want to talk about a big topic. This topic, redirect and forward. Two concepts. Redirect is one concept, forward is another concept, but they are closely related. So it is very easy to get confused. So here I spent some time to discuss these two concepts. And we need to compare. We need to understand their difference. So this is a big topic. All right. First, I want to show you what do we need to do using redirect and forward. From these two names, you can guess the meaning, right? All right. So here, let me describe the situation. What is the situation we have? Okay, the situation is this. All right. Suppose we are here, do data processing. Right? Yeah. After we finish data processing, what do we usually do? After we finish it, get completed. Yeah. What do we usually do? Okay? We need to go to another place, right? Another resource. Yeah. Here I like to use this resource. After you finish processing, because resource could be a servlet or JSP. Okay? Because you need to move to another servlet or another JSP. Yeah. All right. But when you go to this resource, in which way you want to go to the resource, right? So there are two ways. One is the redirect way. Redirect. What's the exact meaning? Here I cannot explain, because here we do not have enough background to understand. So that's why today I spent 3 slides. The next time I may still need to use 2 slides to explain. Another way is forward. So we use these 2 ways to send the data, whatever, after data processing, right? To send the data or carry the data to a different resource. Okay? Yeah. If you just try to understand from the English meaning, so what is the meaning of forward? What is the meaning of the? That's not enough. Because in that way, you cannot tell the difference. What is the forward? What is the redirect? Yeah. So, all right, so now let me explain these 2 concepts one by one. Before I do that, let me show you a demo, show you one example. Yeah. All right. Let me bring up one example. This is example. Yeah. In order to save time, I just run this example. Okay? Later, I will post this example so you can run by yourself. This example, this is a project I did many, many years ago. Okay? Yeah. So here, in the class here, we did with Express Script, this company. Yeah. We designed a mobile interface for Express Scripts. Okay? So that's the picture, so that's the interface we designed. In this example, we only show interface. We only show pages change from one to another. Yeah. We do not have any specific features. Only jump from one to another. Okay? But when we jump, we have 2 ways. Redirect way and forward way. So we use this simple example to explain these two concepts. All right. The first, I try to sign in with a wrong password, wrong username password, and see what happens. A, B, C, D. Okay, I type A, B, C, D. Password, I also type A, B, C, D. So it is wrong. Then when we click sign in, yeah, you see error message. Invalid username or password. Have you activated your account? So that's exactly what they need in ESI user's interface. That's the first time. Yeah. Now I try the second time with correct username password, and let's see what happens. Okay. All right. So the correct one here, I do not use database because in this example, in order to make this example as easy as possible, we do not use database. Okay. Here, we use the hard-coded username password. Only one username and a password can pass the signing step. Okay, yeah. That is this JAVUX username. Password, the same thing. Okay, JAVUX, same thing. Okay? Sign in. Now we pass it. After we pass it, we see, their business page. Okay, yeah, that's all. These things. Yeah, but most of the features do not work. Only you can do, you jump to different pages. Okay, you jump to different pages. Yeah. Other than these simple page changes, no other feature works. Okay, yeah. But that's enough for this example. Okay, yeah. So here, this is the example I want to show you. But in this example, we use that redirect and forward. So we can use this simple example to help us understand those two concepts. All right, so I will post this example so you can play, by yourself. Yeah. So let us get back to this slide. Now we need to learn how do we do redirect and forward in that simple example. So here I explain step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 1. Inside that example, we have one servlet. In that servlet, the first thing we do is retrieve parameters from request. Because our request, HTTP request, we need to send the username password parameters. Okay, 2 parameters. Username parameter, password parameter. Okay? Yeah. So first, we need to retrieve these 2 parameters in our servlet. How to retrieve? We use these 2 lines. Okay? Yeah. Request. So this request, we know it is a HTTP servlet request object. Okay? Yeah. So we have that. Here we just use it. We call .get parameter double quotes username. Okay? This method, we know it returns a string directly. This method returns string. So we use a string variable username, store this string. Similarly, the password, we store in the password string. All right, so that's step number 1, okay? Step number 2, prepare for resource forwarding. Now, because later we need to forward to a resource. So we need to do some preparation. So our second step, we do that. Okay. So how do we do it? We use a special Java object called a request dispatcher. This special Java object. to do forwarding. Yeah. Request dispatcher. Yeah. But this object is a little special, yeah, because this request dispatcher in Java, it is an interface. It is not a concrete Java class. I think you know the interface concept and Java concrete class concept. Yeah. Here it is an interface. Yeah. Interface means there is no constructor, right? No constructor. There is no constructor. Yeah. So in order to create this object, you cannot call the constructor. So using the new operator, right? New operator, then your class name, right? Yeah. You know, constructor, that's the way. So your class, okay? Name, okay? You cannot, because it's interface, there is no constructor. Yeah. So that's why here, to create a request dispatcher object, we use this way. We use this request object, it's .get request dispatcher method to return a request dispatcher. But when we call this method, we need to pass which resource we want to forward, right? You need to specify your resource name. Here, we specify our resource name, login page.jsp. Okay? Login name.jsp. Yeah, so you forward it to this JSP. Because you can forward to any resource, right? So if, suppose we have a servlet, right? It has the URL pattern, for example, my servlet. So can we forward it to my servlet? Yes, we can, right? Yeah. Yeah. So here we do this preparation, right? Yeah. After this line, then this dispatcher object can be used to do the forwarding later, not now, because later we need to check some conditions. We need to do the forwarding based on our business requirements. So at this point, we do not know those business conditions. So we need to go to next a few steps. Step 3, we need to do two things, validation and authentication. Yeah. Validation, is the data valid? Yeah. So for a typical Java web application, we need to do that. Yeah. We need to check if the user provided data is valid or not. So the data valid. Then authentication, when you check username, password, so you do the authentication, right? Two things in this step. So let me put the code here inside our servlet. All right, so the first line, this is the validation step. Yeah, it's very simple. We just want to make sure the variable username, this object, remember the string object is not null. Password object also not null. Okay, yeah, so that's one, yeah. And when we do the validation authentication, we may get some errors. We may find some errors. So we use a variable, integer. This is an integer variable. Error code to store the code number, error code type. Yeah, because we may have different error types, type 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Error code equals 0 means no error. Okay? No error. But if error code is non-zero, then we can assign some special type of errors. Okay? Yeah. All right. So then the first error type, yeah. Username, password, null, error code type 1. Yeah. You know, so your username, password, you know, the data does not satisfy the requirement. Yeah. Step 2, also validation. Suppose not null, right? So the object not null. but the string is empty. The string is empty. The length, one of the string length is 0. Yeah. So that means it's an empty string. Double quotes around nothing. Double quotes around nothing, okay? Yeah. So you have a string variable, but it equals double quotes around nothing, okay? This case is different from null. This case is different from null case, okay? Yeah. So you pass the null check, but you need to pass empty string check, the second step, okay? So if you couldn't pass, here we still use error code 1. Okay? Although you can separate. If you like, you can separate. But for this example, we do not separate. Okay? All right. Then the third one, then we use hard-coded username check, right? Hard-coded username. So if you satisfy both requirements, we put some code here. But in our example, we do not put anything. We just go to the next step. All right. Then the last, if you don't have all the above cases, still not right. Okay? Yeah. So that is the step 3, data validation and authentication step. And in this step, there is one thing I want to point out. You need to think about it. Later at some time, I will bring this question up and give you the answer. The question is, what is the really difference between the empty string and the null string? 2 cases. So what is the difference? Think about what is the difference between empty string, okay, empty string, and null string. They are different, okay? They are different, completely different. Their behavior is also different, okay? Behavior also different. Yeah. But what is really the difference, right? So you want to see more difference, okay? Yeah. So you want to compare. Yeah. Yeah. You want to understand better the difference of these 2 concepts. Okay? All right. So later sometime I will explain the difference. Yeah. Here you just think about it. Yeah. All right. So let me move to the next slide. Yeah. Number 4. Now this time we do forwarding and redirecting. Yeah. So we complete the first 3 steps. Now we are ready to make our business decisions. Which one we should do forwarding, which one we should do redirecting. Yeah. All right. Here, the code is here. Okay? First, we need to make sure when the error code equals 0, if there is no error, then we want to, redirect our users to a different page to do some business. Okay? So now we send our users to a new page called main page G version. G means general. Okay? The general page, main page G.jsp, the general version. Okay, all right. Yeah. If something is wrong, look at what do we do. Something is wrong, we find some error, we should not send them to our main business page. Okay? We still send our users back to the login page. But before we send back to the login page, we write login attribute. Look at this, we use set attribute. We store some information in login attribute. Fail. The logging attribute takes the value fail. Okay, fail. So you store. Okay, so here we store data. Okay, this is the way we store the data. Okay, store the data. Okay, yeah. Later we will retrieve this data. Yeah. All right. After that, we use remember that dispatcher object we prepared before in step number 2, right? Now we need to use it. Dispatcher.forward, okay? Forward. 2 parameters, request parameter, response parameter. Then this request will be sent to the response, to our users. So our user receives some error information, and the page will be displayed using this error information. So you see the red arrows, the links, giving information to the users to fix the problem. Okay? Yeah. So that's the whole procedure. Yeah. But here, something I haven't given to you. Yeah. Here, I haven't explained what is the difference between redirect and forward, right? Here, I just told you under what situations do we send this redirect? Under what situation do we forward that request, right? But I didn't really tell you the main difference between these 2 methods. So I need to delay that, okay? I still gave you more background. Still, I'm doing preparation before you can understand the difference of these 2 concepts. So but another thing I want to explain is store data attribute, this kind of thing. Yeah. So you need to know that. Okay. All right. Before